Welcome back to another episode of Putting the Pieces Together with Jigsaw Learning. I'm here today with my colleague Cheryl Gascoyne, who as a learning associate has a variety of things in her portfolio, including literacy, including early years, and beginning teachers. So our focus today is going to be discussing beginning teachers because this has been an unprecedented first year for our new graduates and those new to the profession. So hi Cheryl.
Hello, Jen. How are you?
I am fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing well too. Thank you.
So I talked about the things that are in your portfolio. Tell us a little bit about the work when I say beginning teachers is in her portfolio.
Actually, that's a real highlight to my portfolio. I love this part of my work, and I've been working with a district facilitating a beginning teacher cohort for the past few years. And really, what this involves is them coming together for full days of professional learning throughout the year, and we have five of them. For some of our full day sessions, the mentor teachers are invited in, and we have a joint session with the beginning teachers in conjunction with the mentor teachers. And on those days, we make sure the planning is really purposeful for the day so that the mentor teacher and beginning teacher can do some reflection together, can do some planning forward on the goals the beginning teacher would like to work on. And as well, we capitalize on the mentor teacher's expertise and experience. So we often do things around classroom management and tips and tricks on those days. So the beginning teachers really get exposure to a lot of teaching experience. When you have several mentor teachers in the room, you have a lot of combined collective experience. It also involves an on-site coaching piece. So there could be 2 coaching visits or 3 coaching visits scheduled throughout the year. So we do a mix. There's some come in for some professional learning about topics that are really pertinent to our beginning teachers, and then some practical in the field where they will pick a goal that they want to work on and ask me to observe that. And when I go in, I watch for that and I give them some feedback on it afterwards in our debrief. So we do have an ongoing coaching plan. They work on those goals when they come in for the full day session. They identify what they're going to do to carry out that goal and where they might need support or resources from. Sometimes that might be from their mentor teacher, or it might be looking up a particular resource, or it might be from me if it's something that I can help with in the area they want to learn more about. And then when I go in for the visit and we have the debrief, we talk about, what are some suggestions for improvement, or what could they try next time. So it's a very reflective process.
What are some of the benefits of being someone from outside the jurisdiction that is taking on this reflective coaching role?
I think it really allows for an authentic, non-threatening relationship. I let the beginning teachers know right from the get-go that I am not in an evaluative role. I'm there to support, and that really helps free them up to ask the questions that they want to ask, to connect over their planning, or to have that reflective conversation without them having to worry about how that might impact their evaluation. Because there might be some things that they're hesitant to ask or to talk about when they know they're being evaluated. But in this role, they really can put the questions out there, feel like they're being supported, but that it's not going to impact their evaluation.
So, Cheryl, you and I were beginning teachers at the start of our careers, and we know how stressful that first year can be. COVID-19 obviously changed the plans that you had with beginning teachers and the beginning teachers had for themselves. So, how have you adapted the program that you're working with these teachers this year?
Yeah, we had one remaining session left where the teachers were going to come into district office, and we were going to go through, all the year end things like talking about interview strategies, and we were going to wrap up the year by, reviewing it, pulling out the highlights, have that, lovely meal and end with an induction ceremony. And none of that happened. And same thing with the last round of coaching visits. That hasn't happened either. So there was about 2 weeks had gone by, I'm going to say, from when we had last seen each other, when everything happened, and it felt like it had calmed down enough that we could connect again, because I know everyone needed some time to get their footing. And it was about the same time I was thinking about them and they were thinking about each other. And I received a message from one of the beginning teachers to say, can you pass this along to our cohort? I'd like to set up a hangout where we can just connect socially and see how we're all doing. And I was just in the process of sending them an email as well to see how they were doing, if they needed anything, any support, any way that I could help. So we set up that hangout, and it was just as they were going into spring break. And they all joined in. It was such a positive experience. They seemed really happy and appreciative of the opportunity to connect. So I put it out there as a standing invitation. And now what we do is connect the same time once a week. It's totally voluntary. If you're available and can make it, you're welcome to join in. And sometimes we just talk about, any new hobbies that you've been working on or developing right now, or what are you reading right now? Is someone reading something good that we can share a title, get some ideas from each other? And sometimes we talk about what's on their mind in terms of their present circumstances in teaching. For example, if assessment is something that they're concerned about, we will talk about that. And what does that look like now? Sometimes it's about the interview process, that this is a totally new way to go about applying for a job and to even have an interview. So we talk about those things, whatever is coming up and relevant to them. And through that process, we've also created a doc of practices right now, ideas, resources, tips for others that are working well. And we just compile when we get together, where we gather those ideas and resources that they can go to and check out, even if they weren't able to join in.
Cheryl, your adaptations highlight the importance that jigsaw learning places on relationships, and the idea that even though the professional learning is planned, was basically put on hold, you managed to find a way to stay connected to these beginning teachers, so I'm sure they appreciated that support. So, what would you say has been the most noticeable difference in the work with beginning teachers in this new learning context?
Absolutely seeing their flexibility and resiliency firsthand, and getting to know them on an even more personal level. It's pretty real when you're showing up towards the end of the teaching day and connecting in this space where you can safely ask your questions or share your concerns, whatever you might have encountered in that day or throughout the week since we last met, and knowing that you have each other. And it's okay to ask those questions, and that it's okay. It's okay not to have the answers, but you can put it to the cohort, and it's very likely that someone in the cohort has something to offer to help the other person out.
So, Cheryl, to put some things into context, I know your work with beginning teachers has actually been spanned across a number of schools within a jurisdiction. And so when you talk about that cohort, it's really bringing teachers together who in a rural context might be isolated from one another. So now that you've had the experience of coming to a district office for full day sessions and going out into schools in different contexts to coach these teachers, what would you say are some of the highlights that you've encountered in this work?
I think seeing the creativity of the teachers, they all have their own unique style, and that's really a highlight. And their willingness to learn and to improve their craft, even in this first year where there's so much to take in and to do. But they're so willing. Seeing their capacity to care for their students, just yesterday we were in one of our meets, and one of the teachers brought up about saying goodbye to their students. And I could just see how much that she cared about them, because she talked about how unique their circumstances were right now, because they don't all know if they're going back to the same position or the same school. So this saying goodbye for them right now is really on their minds, because they don't know if they'll see the students again next year. Like, this might be it for some of them. So they just have such a capacity to care, and that is really a highlight, getting to see that in all types of settings in schools.
As you speak like that, Cheryl, I can see how much you care about them in their roles and the support that you're providing to them as they navigate through this uncharted territory. So, as we look ahead, knowing that this has been an unprecedented sort of situation, but knowing that we believe that beginning teachers need support because no one can do it alone. If districts were looking to implement supports for their beginning teachers and considering coaching models for those beginning teachers, what recommendations might you make?
I think the number one recommendation would be if you can have someone who is not in a supervisory role, who can develop a trusting relationship and give honest feedback in a non threatening way. And that way, they will feel supported and open up, and then you're able to give the help and support that is needed.
So, the context of working with beginning teachers is not a one size fits all. So, I know that the work that you've been doing with this particular cohort has been customized to meet the needs of the jurisdiction as well as what we know are needs of beginning teachers. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
There's certain topics that will be common no matter where you are, what district you are in. For example, classroom management, behavior, developing relationships. But there's also some things that are quite unique from district to district, and the ability to build that into the professional learning sessions is important. So it's important to work to find out what are the expectations and deliver that in the way that the district would like to see it carried out. Or if there's a particular initiative a district is working on, whether that be literacy or numeracy or wellness, whatever that might be, making sure that the district expectations are being carried out and delivered during those sessions, so that the teachers are going into the following year really well versed in what the district has been working on, what's important, and they feel like that they are up to speed and familiar and knowledgeable with those expectations particular to a district.
So not only are you developing relationships with beginning teachers, you're also developing relationships with district staff and ensuring the credibility of what you're doing and the messages that you're passing along are solid so that there's an integrity when you share and reiterate what they're hearing from the district.
Absolutely, it's closely working with district staff to make sure that you are carrying out that district's message.
What might be one learning that you hope beginning teachers take away from their time spent with you?
I think the most important thing is the ability to care. I hope that they go away caring deeply about what they do, the craft of teaching, caring about relationships with their colleagues and parents, staff, and most importantly, caring about their students. In the very first session, I usually tell them a personal story, and it's something that happened partway through my teaching career, and I was going through my student files for the coming year. I had received them over the summer, And I needed that opportunity to review, because these students had diagnoses and recommendations, considerations for programming. And some of the files were really quite thick. And the sheer pile and size of the files themselves was enough to be daunting. I can remember feeling discouraged, and that perhaps I was not up to the task of teaching these students, that perhaps I couldn't do enough to best meet their needs. And I can remember saying that to my husband, and he's an educator as well. And he just looked at me and said, "Well, really, what's most important is that you need to care about them." And I remember in that moment, it was enough to change my perspective, to not be worried about the diagnosis and did I know enough about that particular one, or would I be up to the challenge of planning and programming and giving the best that way to my students. As soon as I could make that shift to yes, I have to care about them, and I already do care about them just from reading about them. And because I care about them, I know I will give them my best. And I know I will put together the programming and planning that they need and find the resources and support to best help them. It wasn't that those things didn't matter, but it was that you need to care about them. And that always stuck with me. And that's what I hope that they go away with, that ability to care.
I listened to you share that story, Cheryl, and that's the first time that I've heard it. And I can see that the impact that it's had on you all the way through, because you tell it with such sincerity that I'm sure that message is clearly communicated to the beginning teachers. I had an opportunity to come in as part of some of your sessions this year and meet with the beginning teachers and their mentors and hear from them what their hopes were about this first year of their teaching. And so we're going to share that after we're done here. But I wonder, for you, as you look ahead with working with beginning teachers, is there a hope that you have for them for the end of this year?
That they stick with it. That this is such an unusual year, that it's not always like this. So don't get discouraged and give up, because it will change and it will get better, and that it is such a worthwhile profession, that don't let the circumstances right now deter you from it.
Thank you, Cheryl, for taking the time to be with us today and to talk about this experience.
Thank you, Jen. You're welcome.
Three things that are my hopes for the year is that I have ongoing relationships with my students, so we continue to have a fun and safe environment where we can have relationships and chat and all feel great while we're learning. Another one is to be continually inspired, so allowing the kids to inspire me and to have growth and want to try new things and see the light bulb moments with the children and have those aha moments. And finally, just to have fun. So enjoy the year, enjoy the career, look forward to every day going into the school and the kids themselves.
I'm hoping for my mentee that she ends the year with as much passion as she started the year.
I hope for children to be confident to take risks, and that with my help they can make changes to improve our world.
And I just hope that she appreciates just how lucky we are to be teachers, and making a positive influence on all of these kids, our future leaders of tomorrow. So we're very, very lucky to have the job that we have.
Is even though that being a brand new teacher is an enormous amount of work, to be able to have like the mindset, the willingness to grow and to develop and have love and empathy for the kids throughout the entire year.
Sure that he keeps up his level of enthusiasm throughout the course of the year.
I hope for my first year that I come out of it happy, and I also hope to learn a lot along the way.
There are going to be hard days, but remember that the positives always outweigh the negatives.
I hope that you still love your students and your job and me at the end of the year.
I want to instill a sense of community in my classroom, as well as a love for music that students can take with them beyond their school and continue with some type of music for the rest of their lives.
My hope for my mentee is that she realizes this is really the most important work in the world and that she's excited to continue learning with her students and have fun.
I really believe that when we're working with kids, that we need to bring out our inner child. Take a step back and look at it, through their eyes, right? Go walk in their shoes.
My hopes for my first year of teaching is to inspire a few students the way I was inspired when I was in grade 10, 11, and 12.
My hope for my mentee, the new teacher in my school, is that he develop resilience and perspective. I think they're two sides of the same coin. You need to build your resilience so that you can gain perspective.
My students all show growth, just in themselves and their academics.
My hope for my mentee is that he has a really successful year, that he's really happy with himself, that he finds that teaching is his true passion, and that he can be as connected to his students as he desires to be.
My hope for my students is that they can see that a learning challenge or a learning disability won't hold them back from whatever they want to achieve in their life.
My hopes for my mentee in the profession is that they get to feel the passion to work with kids every day that I get to feel. So if I can share a little bit of the magic of what we do with them and they can stay in the profession long term and contribute to all the work we do, that would be my hope for him, would be to do that.
My hope for new teachers is that they learn to love what they're doing and that they find joy in what they're doing.
I hope our beginning teachers feel supported, make connections with each other, and enjoy the profession of teaching.
I hope for each of our teachers is that they find a place for joy in each and every day. And my aspirations for our teachers is that their excitement for learning is spread to their students and that their learning journey continues throughout their career.
My hope for the beginning teachers in this program as a facilitator is that they feel supported. I hope that they feel they have the opportunity to grow. I hope that they hang on to the reason why they came into this profession in the first place.